In the last couple of years, Stardom has steadily become a part of the conversation when it comes to wrestling options. Thanks to the massive spread of clips, GIFs, articles and video essays, the hype for the company keeps growing online. Granted, we don't upset the gods of copyright. Because of this, there are many people asking how to watch or get into Stardom, and so many people answer with guides and rundowns focusing on the usual stuff: roster, factions, champions, who are the good guys, who are the bad guys, and who are the best. The problem with this is that Stardom changes its status quo so frequently that any roster guide could easily get outdated in 2 weeks. I know this because I tried to do that with a friend in late 2020 and stuff kept happening in the promotion while we were making it, so the process behind that was a disaster. Thus, today I'll try to make a guide that can last as long as possible. Instead of telling you what's going on right now, I'm going to use current events to explain how things work. I always say this: if you want to get acquaintance with the wrestlers in Stardom, just use their own website at www.stardom.com/fighters. While the page is in Japanese, you can run it through machine translation to get an idea of the names and bios of the roster. Of course, there are special guests and freelancers that pop up frequently in the company, but you won't have a hard time figuring them out. One thing that you might find difficult is realizing who are the heroes and villains in this company. That's the neat thing, there are none. Okay, I'm not being exactly correct. Stardom doesn't really work with a face-to-heel dichotomy. While there are wrestlers who can be described as complete psychopaths, even those are more complex than you would see in the average American wrestling promotion. Face of the company and basically its superhero, Mayu Iwatani, can be a bit of a jerk if she feels the need to, and will be opportunistic too, such as the time when she decided to have co-contender Giulia challenge Shuri for the top title on Night 1 of Stardom's World Climax 2022 event, so that she could challenge on the second night when neither of them were already tired and beaten up from fighting each other. Rebellious adolescent Starlight Kid will allow herself to be embraced by her former mentor Mayu in a moment of emotional weakness before shoving her away. Natsuko Tora, despite her generally evil demeanor, can't help herself but fangirl over associated Joshi promotion marvelous wrestler Maria. Mina Shirakawa is all for smiling and having a good time, but if her match is important enough, she'll come out in her deranged, dark makeup wearing, paper eating bloody angel persona like a demon Finn Balor. Natsupoi is a cheerful cruiserweight who betrayed her leader to join a happy-go-lucky idol faction. Giulia is a total enigma, but we'll talk about her in another video. If we go further back, the artist formerly known as Kagetsu was a bad-mouthed, cheating world champion, but he always did it to pose a bigger challenge to his opponents, often talking about raising Stardom to new heights and giving the fans what they wanted to see. Imagine a spectrum with light-hearted to serious and good to evil axis and place Stardom wrestlers over there under your interpretation of their characters. It would be a much better compass. Basically, they are people with all their flaws and virtues reacting to the events surrounding them. Even the referees have their own criteria when officiating matches, leading to some shenanigans happening freely without much repercussion. Traditional Stardom shows work similarly to those of New Japan. Instead of a weekly TV program, they run a couple of house shows in several locations throughout the main areas of Japan. Occasionally, they also tour around more exotic and remote regions in the country. These shows normally take place over the weekend and are filled with tag team matches and the odd championship bout. They are not essential viewing, but some storylines do move forward in these, with the more important stuff happening at Korakuen Hall. None of these shows have any sort of commentary as they lead to the big arena events that take place once or sometimes twice a month in venues like Budokan Hall or Osaka Jo Hall. These do have Japanese commentary, with a couple of them a year having an English option. Beyond 2 or 3 reoccurring pay-per-view shows, there are no strongly branded events that you can pinpoint on a yearly schedule like an NJPW Dominion or a WWE SummerSlam. Pay-per-view events will often have a different name every year, minus the most important shows like Stardom X Stardom or Dream Queendom in December. And that isn't even a guarantee that those will stick around constantly or in the same way. Stardom X Stardom will happen this year after a 3-year hiatus, and December's big event used to be the year-end climax, but that has been a bit of a filler show since 2020. The pay-per-view names are actually quite inconsequential beyond marketing and merch. Now, there are other series of shows that differ from what I just talked about. This year, 2 new brands of Stardom have been launched. These shows are set to take place a few times throughout the year. The first one is New Blood, a free YouTube show for the younger up-and-coming wrestlers, not just in Stardom but in most of the Joshi world. It's unlikely for an established main event player to wrestle a big match here, but they'll show up to test the newer talent's capabilities in the ring. Because of the constant exchange of talent, these are a great opportunity to check out some standouts from the independent Joshi scene, and it could be a starting point to get into more promotions if you wish. The other brand is called Stardom in Showcase, which is the wackier, barely canonical version of the company. If Stardom is GTA 4, Showcase is the Battle of Gay Tony. This brand puts your serious work rate wrestlers of usual through wild stipulations and segments. You never know what could happen or who could show up, so look forward for some of the most bizarre sights in wrestling to happen right here. Stardom has quite a few belts. You can look at them on the same website I mentioned before, but despite the quantity of championship titles, each one of them has its own purpose and personality. A lot of them are straightforward: trios belts, tag belts, a high-speed championship for matches that are just like you'd imagine, a belt that can only be contested between wrestlers of different nationalities or planets, more on that later, and a championship for the rookies or younger talent. I want to focus on the top titles: the World of Stardom Championship or Red Belt, and the Wonder of Stardom Championship or White Belt. While it's easy to figure out by looking at them and reading its names that the Red Belt is the World title and the White Belt is the Mid-Card title, it doesn't really work that way according to their champions, especially in recent years. Both championships have been elevated due to memorable reigns and matches, blurring the line between what makes each championship different. During the Utami Hayashishita and Tam Nakano reigns of 2021, both wrestlers gave interviews making the case for their respective championships being the top title. They did agree on one thing, and that's the fact that the Red Belt is held by the strongest, most technically sound wrestlers in the company, while the White Belt belongs to those willing to sacrifice everything in their hearts to win it, displaying emotion like no other competitor. It's about different philosophies, and you can see that going on after Utami and Tam's reigns ended. Shuri is a ruthless veteran with over a decade of experience, including actual combat sports. Her title win may have been based on emotion due to real-life events, but when the bell rings, it's all about the fight. Sayaka Mitani, on the other hand, has daredevil offense and tries to connect with her opponents and their motivations in order to protect her belt and destroy its holy curse that has driven people like Tam Nakano and Arisa Hoshiki in the past. Depending on the type of wrestler you are, you'll have a preference towards one of the championships. We've mentioned Tam Nakano a lot here, and that's because she would die for that belt. She feels bound by destiny to it, even under non-canon moments. On an episode of the Marugoto Stardom Variety Show, a handful of wrestlers visit executive producer Rossi Ogawa's memorabilia-filled house. Each wrestler takes an item of their choosing, and Tam immediately goes after the old deteriorated B1 of the Wonder of Stardom Championship, holding it like it was her baby and not letting it go until the next pre-recorded segment. Speaking of Rossi, he has gone on record defining both championships. According to him, the red belt belongs to the best wrestler in the world, whereas the white belt belongs to the heart and soul of Stardom. We can trace this idea all the way back to the first champions. Nanae Takahashi is a ruthless, tough-as-nails fighter with incredible prowess and a strong case to be one of the best in the ring. But Yusuke Aikawa symbolized the spirit of Stardom with her presence and charisma. The tournaments work the same way. The Cinderella tournament that takes place around April is an unpredictable single elimination series with the winner usually going after the Wonder of Stardom Championship, while the 5-star Grand Prix taking place around September is a grueling round-robin competition where the woman who earned the most points and wins the finals gets a shot at the World of Stardom Championship. Unless you're Io Shirai, who prefers to subvert the expectations of any tournament she wins. Lastly, on July 29, 2022, Stardom announced the creation of the IWGP Women's Championship in a joint effort with New Japan Pro Wrestling to be crowned on November 20th. The championship is set to be defended both in Japan and the US. We still don't know much about this title, but people are freaking out under the impression that it might overshadow the other belts in Stardom. Based on the announcement tweets, I would say that this is more of a New Japan project with some Stardom collaborations, especially in the beginning. It will most likely be its own separate thing where you see a mixture of Stardom wrestlers, freelancers and independent American wrestlers competing on New Japan shows until they can develop their own talent, effectively a new women's division from scratch. The red and white belts are here to stay, and thankfully so, because the moment this belt shows up online, we'll all be getting copyright strikes. Much of Tam's obsession with the white belt is made clear on Stardom shows, but you can truly grasp how deep it goes after you read her tweets, interviews, or watch her video interactions like in the example I just mentioned. Stardom is filled with pieces of lore that are not always on the forefront of the narrative. On a recent YouTube video featuring Tam's stablemate Unagi Sayaka and New Japan Pro Wrestling's Great-O-Khan, Unagi mentions having a dinosaur plush toy called Stefan that she's always carrying around. Up to that point, Stefan wasn't really featured on Stardom World or the roster page or even Unagi's bio, but he has his own Instagram account which I just stumbled upon a couple of months back. Apparently, Stefan has been around for over a year in the awareness of those who know the Stardom deep lore. After Unagi addressed the existence of her dinosaur pet, she started showing him more on the weekly shows and has since become a staple of Unagi's character. In January, Oedo Tai's Rina and Stars Hazuki had a rivalry over who could wear black lipstick. Their match was the second one on a live show at KFC Hall with no video package or post-match promo. The rivalry mostly took place on social media. Hazuki won, but allowed Rina to keep wearing it, and that was it. A little side story for Hazuki during her first Tag Team Championship reign with Koguma. If you're only a Stardom World subscriber and don't follow these wrestlers on social media plus a fan translator, this was just another match that you may haven't thought much of. It's not a must-see legendary rivalry, but it adds to the purpose of these shows and matches. Cases like this are many, not even I can catch up on all of them. Actually, if you're out of Japan, you won't catch up on all of them. There are those that are simple enough and contain themselves to the show, like Saki Kashima trying to get upset wins with her pin combinations and going bananas. For example, when she beat Mayu Iwatani in 17 seconds, 2 years after their hard-fought match that saw Mayu defeat her. There are those stories that are a hybrid between show development and SNS development. Wakakiyama's underdog fairy tale to become a proper cosmic angel has her constantly losing matches, eating pins, dancing awkwardly and crying a lot. But every week she improves little by little. Her friends cheer her up and strategize their team offense in order to make it easier for her. However, you can realize how much Tam, Mina and Unagi care about her when you read their encouragement tweets. There are those stories that mainly happen on the internet, such as the build-up for Kairi's return to Stardom. If you don't have that prior context, Momokogo pulling out a megaphone causing Saya Kamitani to freak out may leave you clueless. I have a video talking all about this storyline if you're interested. There are also certain details that can go unnoticed, like subunits and tag team names. Starlight Kid, Rina and Ruaka are Oedo Tai but operate under the name Young Oed when teaming up. Starlight Kid and Momo Watanabe like to go by Black Desire. Saki Kashima and Fuki Gendes are We Love Tokyo Sports. Utami Hayashishita and Saya Kamitani are Queen's Quest, but they are also Aphrodite. Asumi and Miyu Amasaki would like to refer to their tag team as O2 Line, as they are both born in 2002. Last year, Giulia and Shuri became the 5th best tag team of the year on Pro Wrestling Illustrated, but instead of going by their names or Dana Del Mondo, they went by Alto Livello Cavalli-1, causing lots of people to ask who are ALK. Then, for proper insight into some of the matches, characters and performers themselves, you'd have to know Japanese or actually be there. Giulia and Starlight Kid have written weekly columns on specialized media outlets which are only available to actual customers in Japan. I haven't read them, but I am sure a lot of their motivations and thoughts on events surrounding their careers are contained there. Mayu Iwatani, Tam Nakano and Shuri have released their own respective memoir books recently, which most definitely have valuable information as well. Not to mention the exclusive My Stardom fan club the promotion has, where you need to legally have an address in Japan to be a member. There's just an insane amount of content that doesn't make it out of Japan. This is not to discourage you from following Stardom, but to suggest you to keep in mind that there's a lot of context that gets either lost in translation or not translated at all. And I personally believe that's what led to Stardom being considered the work rate Joshi promotion. And yes, while it is work rate centric, there is a lot of room for characters and stories. Many of them escape official, accessible sources of translation. This is mainly due to Bushiroad not focusing on international expansion yet, however there are ways to work around this. I recommend Twitter follows such as It's Dana Now, Golden_Kuma, 1222 Dragon Moon, and SG_OXXT for relevant translations beyond those of the official Stardom account. Dana even translates whole press conferences leading up to pay-per-views on her blog. The fan community has been growing a lot recently, so there's been a huge effort from Western wrestling media to catch up as well. Fightful is now working with Scott E, who specializes in Joshi, while projects like Monthly Puroresu offer interviews with the talent themselves. There are lots of content creators as well, so be on the lookout for them. A couple of months ago I had an argument with an acquaintance over Mei Suruga showing up at Stardom. He prefers the more serious aspects of the company, so her match against Asumi was not to his taste at all. I told him that he should expect these things to happen on the regular. After Utami Hayashishita vs Shuri in 2021 blew up, many people reacted in interesting ways. Older Stardom fans tend to dislike the current New Japan-esque epic battles that take place in some pay-per-views and become wary of the whole promotion becoming like that and losing its soul. Newer Stardom fans may think a long, brutal match is what it's all about and prefer it to be like that, but whether they like it or not, there is still place for silliness, especially now with the addition of Showcase. Upon conquering the SWA Championship, Mayu Iwatani vowed to defend it all over the world. The world is a mess right now, so resident depressed clown Fuki Gandes rose up to the occasion, with Saki Kashima stating that she was an alien. Rossi didn't believe them, but because the clown is canonically an enigmatic entity unrelated to Kaori Yoneyama, he let it happen as he could never figure out where she's from. Mina Shirakawa and Thekla had a rivalry all about sexual tension in a comedic and lighthearted way earlier this year. On June 12, 2021, two members from 3 different factions were scrambled into a tag team match, leading to a hilarious spin on the Can They Coexist rope. One of the first round matches of last year's 5-star Grand Prix featured Natsupoi and Koguma, who is a bear and can turn people into bears via hypnosis, playing hide and seek. Unagi Sayaka is one of the funniest wrestlers in the company. Even top acts like Sayaka Mitani and Utami Hayashishita will often find themselves out of the emotional, dramatic environment they usually excel at. In fact, Utami is probably taking this year to show all the personality that her detractors claim she did not have while being World of Stardom champion. Let yourself be caught off guard by the unexpected. One day Saya Ida may come out wearing a giant Mexican sombrero made out of nachos and cheese, and you won't find the words to describe that visual. Now that we've gone through all the narrative tropes and titles and stuff, how do we actually watch the show? If you want what could be considered a free trial, their YouTube channel is the place to go. There are lots of clips, matches and original content, not to mention a weekly recap series in Japanese with highlights on a month's delay. If you want to keep up with the company, you can subscribe to the video-on-demand service called Stardom World. Note that I said video on demand because the website doesn't have any live streaming capabilities. It's quite outdated, to be honest, even for the time it came out, and it does not accept PayPal, only credit and debit cards. However, it has English subtitles and it's very cheap, about $7 to $8 a month depending on the value of yen. Something to remember is that you might need to swap your card's expiration date when filling the registration process. Stardom World automatically charges your card during the first few days of the month, with very rare exceptions, so try to subscribe after that. If you're having issues with your card getting accepted by the website, and I say this because it happens an awful lot of times, contact your bank so that they can accept the website. Since Stardom World doesn't stream live shows, pay-per-views are broadcasted through another service called PIA, or Pay in Advance. Every stream costs around $50. It's the only legal way to watch the biggest Stardom events live, unless you're living in Japan, of course, and have access to a TV or, well, the venue running the show. Because Stardom's focus is set on live ticket sales, streaming is not really a priority for them. It's the reason why the PIA links don't get posted until a few hours before the event, and likely the reason why Stardom World hasn't been revamped after over 3 years. Pay-per-views are uploaded to Stardom World about a week after they take place. All of this comes at an extra cost. You will come across spoilers from the official accounts if you're not watching live. International coverage of Stardom at the moment is a bit of a courtesy gift, with a lot of limitations and restrictions. And don't get me started on the merch department. Let's hope this part of the video gets quickly outdated, but that's the nature of Bushiroad. If you come see it in person, you're more valued as a customer. Regardless of that, Stardom is worth it. Whether you think it's the best women's promotion in the world, or just a gateway into other, more unique Joshi companies, I believe the hype is warranted. So give it a try and tell me what you think. Thank you for watching this video, I hope it helps you understand Stardom at a more precise level, but if you have any other questions, do let me know in the comment section. This was originally an entry on my blog, but I decided to enhance it a little bit and turn it into a video. Be sure to subscribe not only to this channel but also the blog, as I'll soon be documenting my journey into other Joshi promotions, as well as my thoughts on whatever I find interesting on Stardom itself. Links to my other social media will be in the description too. I have big plans for upcoming videos, I just need a little more time, but look forward to their release. I'm Sapster, until next time.